Hi friends, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel, Sunset Bow Tarot. So it's early June, and what that means is that it's about time for me to do my May favorites video. So this is going to be a little bit of favorites, a little bit of a monthly wrap up, and I also want to give shout outs to some really good people in the TarotTube community who I really dig. So there's a couple things going on here, but because this is mostly a favorites video, let's start with what my May favorites were, and because this is a tarot channel, let's start with my favorite decks from the month of May. I bought too many new decks this month, you guys. Well, I mean, most months I buy too many new decks, but I feel like this month was especially egregious, and because of that, I actually have 4 decks to talk about on this video. So the first one I want to talk about is the Augenblick Tarot. So this is a deck by Shannon Loftus. And as you can see, it's a vintage photography deck. It's got all perfectly square cards. And she found all of this imagery in the Library of Congress, I believe. So it's really cool vintage photography. If you've ever watched any of my deck collection videos, you know that I really love vintage imagery. And I also, one of my favorite decks is the Tildwick Tarot. I really love decks that give you a strong sense of place. And this deck really does that. You know, a lot of the images don't even have any people in them. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. And it really gives you sort of the opportunity to kind of venture into the card in a way and sort of journey in the card. And I love decks that really give you that feeling. And as you can see, it's a perfectly square deck, which gives it a lot of interesting options as far as directional readings. I haven't started exploring that really because, I mean, you know me, I don't even really read reversals, but I kind of like the idea, because this is square, of kind of investigating some ideas about directional readings. So so we'll see. That's something that I might look into. There's a lot of information about it in the book. I should mention actually that the deck, it's by Shannon Loftus. It comes in this really nice bag, and it also comes with quite a chunky guidebook that also fits in the bag, which it's quite nice. It has a lot of information in it. It's a really cool deck, and it's just the kind of thing that's right up my alley. I love the imagery of it. I love that sort of feeling of venturing into a card, venturing into a place, and, you know, sort of feeling like you've stepped back in time when you step into those cards. And so it's a really fantastic deck. I'm loving that one so much. The next deck to make my May favorites is going to come as no surprise to anyone, because I did an unboxing of this deck and basically giggled delightedly throughout the entire thing because I loved it so much, and that is the Mermaid Cat Tarot. And this deck is so cute. I mean, it's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. It just has mermaid cats in place of the people, and as a Pisces and a cat lady, I can think of nothing more perfect for me than this deck. I really love the artwork. The artist's name is Mayumi Yoshimaru. I'm not going to talk about this too much because, like I said, I do have a whole unboxing video about this deck, but it was a Kickstarter. It was a really well done Kickstarter, and the deck itself is really charming and wonderful, and I've just been loving this one. And it's just, you know, you can pick it up and read it so easily because it's just a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, and it's just so, so cute and delightful. It has a ocean theme throughout. It's just great. Anyway, really love that one too. So the third deck to make my favorites for the month of May is my mega splurge one. I bought a deck in May that I'd wanted for a really, really long time. And it's an incredibly expensive deck, and especially the way I wanted it, it was incredibly expensive. And that is the Deck of the Bastard. And I got mine with custom backs and the plastic cardstock. So the first time I ever saw this deck, I remember it was on a deck collection video, I think on Quilfin's channel. She hasn't made videos in a while, but I really love her channel. And she has this great deck collection series that's just a delight to watch. And I originally saw this deck there and immediately added it to my wish list, but it is extremely expensive. And then when you add on the custom backs and the plastic cardstock, it gets really expensive. And so I had told myself that I was going to be saving this deck to buy myself for a special occasion. And then Tarot by 7, which is the store on Etsy that sells this deck, had a sale, and I decided that counted as a special occasion. So I went ahead and I bought it for myself. As you can see, this deck has been talked about a lot recently. It's really cool. It's called the Deck of the Bastard because it's a bastardized deck made out of multiple different sort of classic decks. I think it includes pips from the Rider-Waite-Smith. There are cards from the Atea. I think there are cards from the Soprafino. I mean, there's like just lots of cards from different classic decks that have all been kind of bastardized together into one deck and then added this sort of vintage border and overlay to make it look very, very aged, like it's been passed down through generations. And it's just so cool. And I really wanted to get the plastic cardstock for this one because I knew it was going to be kind of a classic deck kind of workhorse for me. And I do plenty of reading for friends in restaurants and cafes and stuff like that, and so having a deck that has waterproof cardstock is really quite nice when you're in those situations, so I really wanted the plastic one. So it's just an awesome deck. I think it's so cool and so beautiful, and I'm so thrilled that I have this one. So the final deck that I've been absolutely loving this month, I have to give credit to Valerie from And the Moon Loves Me. I really love her channel, and she's been doing a series of deck collection videos where she's just doing one deck at a time in each video, and I had just the most horrendous week at work and decided to drown my sorrows in some tarot tube, as one does, and she had posted a video about this deck, and I immediately knew that I had to have it. It was a deck that I had never thought about getting for myself because I just didn't feel like it was my aesthetic, and then all of a sudden I saw her video and I just wanted to leave Earth and go live in this world because it looked so beautiful and soothing. So anyway, that deck is the Crystal Visions Tarot. And I've just been loving this deck. I never thought I would buy this deck, and I freaking love it. It just is so, this just beautiful fantasy world. It's so pretty, and there's unicorns and dragons and pretty ladies, and you know, it's just, it's a really just, again, it's a lovely, soothing deck. It feels like you just kind of walked into a fantasy novel, basically, and it's just, I don't know, I've just been enjoying the heck out of it. So I did trim mine. As you can see, it is fully trimmed. I love it trimmed, because it just comes with white borders, and they needed to go. And with the imagery kind of opened up like this, I just absolutely have been loving it. It's just been feeling like a very soothing deck, one that just kind of makes me happy. It just kind of fills me with joy, and it makes me feel like I'm sort of a kid again, reading fantasy novels like back in the 90s the way I used to. Like, that's just sort of the feel that it has. So it's got a little nostalgia to it, and it's got that soothing quality, and I've just been really, really loving it. One of the other reasons that I got the Crystal Visions is because one of the things that Valerie noted in her video, which I'd always wondered, but thought I probably wasn't correct about, is that this deck was actually named after the Stevie Nicks Best Of album by the same name, and I've also been having kind of a Stevie Nicks month. So as you all may know, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in March. She's the first woman ever to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2 times as both part of Fleetwood Mac and as a solo artist. And the induction ceremony was really delightful. It just got put up on HBO like a couple of weeks ago. So it's very much worth watching. That's one of the things that I did watch on television in May and really enjoyed. And you know, I don't know, I've just been on kind of a Stevie Nicks kick recently, and I've been kind of like loaded all her albums back onto my iPod, and not my iPod, my iPhone, and I've just been, you know, listening to her music and kind of like just getting back into it. And then so when Valerie mentioned that that was true about this deck, it felt sort of like a weird moment of synchronicity, because I was already having this sort of Stevie Nicks month, and so that was one of the other things that actually convinced me to buy this deck, because it just sort of felt like a sign. I don't know. So anyway, I've been really loving this one. So in terms of other TV stuff in the month of May, the elephant in the room, as you guys all know, I'm an enormous Game of Thrones fan, and the final season, obviously, aired in May. I'm gonna try not to talk about any spoilers. I am gonna admit that I was quite underwhelmed by the final season. I really liked parts of it, and then I felt like they attempted to wrap everything up too quickly. I think there are a lot of people who seem to have problem with the direction of the overall storyline, particularly the direction of the Jon and Daenerys storyline. I didn't have a problem with what happened. I had a problem with how it happened. The ending that happened there was actually an ending that I feel like I've contemplated for a long time. I sort of felt like that might be one of the ways that it could end. And so I wasn't bothered by the fact that the show went in that direction, because again, I'm assuming also that that's how George R.R. Martin intends to end it as well. The problem is that it required a lot of character development that felt really rushed and unearned, and so characters were just doing things that came kind of out of the blue and didn't seem to make sense, whereas they were things that could have been made to make sense if they had spent more time on developing the storyline and letting the character sort of evolve more naturally. So that just distressed me. I felt like it was just a failure, not of the overall storyline, but a failure of the writing and a failure of the fact that they should have actually spent more time than 6 episodes on the final season of this show, or even made another season of the show. I mean, HBO wanted it, the public wanted it, like there was no reason not to, so I really feel like they kind of fell down on the job a little bit there. But then, of course, there was also the Jaime Lannister storyline, and that was garbage, and I hated it. So the other thing that happened in May, in terms of books, was that I actually did reread the first 3 books of Game of Thrones. May was just Game of Thrones all the time for me. Like, it just took over my life for the entire month. I actually did quite a few readings in May with the Game of Thrones tarot, because I would take it over when I was going over to somebody's house to watch the show. I would bring the deck with me and do readings. So I just didn't put that in my favorites just because I've talked about that deck so much in the past. But I did actually use that deck as well quite a bit in May. And it was so interesting in rereading the first 3 books since I've watched the show, and just remembering how much of those first sort of 4 really amazing seasons of the show were literally word for word from the books. There's like whole stretches of dialogue. Some of the best lines in the show, I had forgotten that they actually were also in the books first, which sort of gave me a new appreciation for George R.R. Martin. I don't know, the rushed ending of the show and rereading the books and realizing how much of the great dialogue in that show came just straight out of his head. Again, it just gave me a new appreciation for him, and so it's actually made me excited for the end of the book series for the first time in a really long time. The last 2 books in the series have also been, frankly, kind of underwhelming, but I just now feel like I really want to know how he would end the story and how he would achieve the character development to maybe get the characters to the same place that they potentially were in the show, but how it might be handled if more time and sort of effort and care could be devoted to it. So in the end, that's kind of a good thing. You know, it made me appreciate the author of the books that much more. And also, despite being underwhelmed by the show, I actually did sit down, because, you know, people, it's always a mistake to check the internet and see what people are commenting on, because, you know, there's so much negativity, and it's really easy to sort of let that color your view of everything. But in this case, I made a point of sort of sitting down and saying, okay, you were disappointed with the end. Was it still worth it to watch the show? And the answer is, of course it was. That show has given me so much joy over the years. I read those books for the first time ages ago. And so I remember thinking when I first read the books, like, oh, it's kind of sad. These books are completely unfilmable. You know, there's too much story for it to be a movie, or even a series of movies, but there's also too much like sex and violence for it to be a TV show. The only possible way this show could get made is if it were a show on HBO or something like that. And that's never gonna happen. I like literally remember having those thoughts. And then it happened, and I couldn't believe it. And it was the most excited I've ever been for a show coming out on television. I followed all the casting announcements. I was just completely obsessed with the whole process of making it. I was so excited when it premiered. It was amazing, and all of a sudden all these people were fans of it, and I could talk to people about these characters that I'd loved so much, and it was just wonderful. Like, the whole experience was wonderful. So despite any failures of that show, I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I still love it, and I always will. And yeah, so the end of Game of Thrones was a bit bittersweet for me in a lot of ways, but fundamentally it was worth the ride. So another thing that happened in May is, of course, also an end to the Avengers series. Big ending happening in the MCU. So I did go see Avengers Endgame, and I really enjoyed it. That was a movie where I wasn't really disappointed by the ending at all. I felt good about how all of the stories wrapped up, and there was one sort of resolution to a story that I cried absolute buckets at, and if you've seen the movie, I'm sure you can guess which one. And I don't know, that one was very satisfying. It's been so interesting. Going into this year, I remember thinking about, okay, Game of Thrones is ending in April, or in April and into May. This phase of the MCU is ending in May, and then the last Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 9, is coming out in December. And it was sort of, I remember thinking sort of like, wow, what shall I do with myself for entertainment after this is done? It sort of makes me think back to 2007 and the just intense ennui I felt when Harry Potter came to an end. Like, that was actually a tough summer for me. I was really sad, and so I'm kind of worried that after this year I might feel that way a little bit again too. Just so many of my favorite things in entertainment coming to an end, but yeah, it's kind of a big year that way. So finally, I want to talk about YouTube favorites. There was a great tag going around in May, a shoutouts tag started by Maha's Treasure Box, who I actually didn't follow at that point, and so discovered her channel through that tag, which is fabulous. She's amazing. It was really wonderful. I got some shoutouts from some of my absolute favorite YouTubers, specifically Julie from Peekaboo Rose, who is so fabulous. I love her channel. I love her content. She's one of those people where, you know, if I've been away from YouTube for a couple of days, her videos are like the first ones I watch when I come back. She mentioned this in her video too. Like, I think she and I are pretty similar in a lot of ways, and we are interested in a lot of the same things. And I just think she's such a cool and funny and smart person. And the other one that I got a shout out from was Heather Carter, who I also absolutely adore. She's so cool. She has so much good content on her channel. She's just one of those people who's just incredibly smart and articulate about everything, and I learned so much from her, and I'm interested in learning some more things about paganism, which is, I've mentioned on this channel before that I'm not actually a witch, but there's a video that I want to do talking a little bit about what my sort of journey has been there, because there has actually been a journey there. But I've been interested in learning more about it, and she has this great series called the ABCs of Paganism that I need to catch up on. She's doing a beginner series in tarot. Like, she just has all of this great content, and she's just also like a really nice and cool and awesome person who is just great at making really, really interesting content. So I appreciated them so much. Like, getting shout outs from the two of them absolutely made my day. And I decided to take this opportunity to give some shout outs to some channels that I really love, some smaller channels that I think don't get enough love. So the first one that I wanted to talk about, I've actually already mentioned in this video, and that is Valerie from the channel And the Moon Loves Me. And I just adore her channel. I love her voice. She has this great crystal collection video series that I watch sometimes. I always say that deck collection videos are like ASMR to me. Like, I can watch them to fall asleep because I just find them so soothing. And her crystal collection video I find even more soothing. Like, it's just so lovely to watch. I don't know, I just absolutely love it. So I really, really love her channel. Another one that I want to mention is Musings by Masha. she is someone who just has like the sweetest energy, and she's incredibly eloquent. She just, I don't know, the way that she talks about things, the way that she talks about decks, the way that she talks about her spiritual practices and her experiences, she's just one of those people who always has the right word for everything, and she just is so eloquent in the way that she describes things, so I love her channel as well. Another one I want to give a shout out to is Atypical Tarot, which is another channel that I discovered through the Shoutouts videos. I think he was also in Julia's Shoutouts videos, and he is so great, you guys. I mean, one of the videos that he's done recently, he just did this beautiful video where he went to a trail where there were lots of people riding horses, and did all of this beautiful like videoing and photography of all of the people riding horses, and then did a lovely reading with a horse oracle. His Instagram is also gorgeous. Like, he's a really good photographer, and he just has a lot of interesting things to talk about in terms of tarot, and so I really have been liking his channel. I'm so happy that I discovered him. Another one that I really want to give a shout out to is a newer channel, and that is Donna from Ozark Oracle. She cracks me up. Everything about her personality is just so wonderful and delightful. Like, you can just feel the warmth radiating out of the screen when you watch her. She's really funny. She has all of these animals, and they're all, you know, various pets. They're all named after different like rock stars or actors, or they all have hilarious names, and they're always making cameos in her videos, and I really love her content as well. And she's just one of those channels where every time I watch one of her videos, it makes me laugh and it makes me happy, and she just brings joy to the world. So definitely another channel that everyone should check out. Oh my God. So there's a couple of people that I forgot because I totally figured, oh, I'll just make a mental list. That will be completely fine. Surely I'll remember everybody. And of course, I 100% didn't remember everybody. So one of the people that I want to mention who I forgot is Eva from Ink and Flame. Love her. She and I sort of like instantly bonded because we're both huge fans of Maggie Stiefvater and the Raven Cycle and the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. But she has a fantastic channel, and she's one of those people who has just a really soothing energy. She's just really sort of quiet and thoughtful and measured in the way that she says everything. And I love watching her videos because she thinks so deeply about everything. And so everything that she has to say is always just incredibly well considered and so interesting. So I love Eva. The other person that I really wanted to have on my list that I forgot about is Jen from Jen's Balanced Tarot. She is really great. I'm so happy that she started a channel. As I'm sure you all know, she's a sister of Lisa from Supportive Tarot, and love Lisa as well, obviously. But Jen, since she just started recently, has a smaller channel, and absolutely love her content as well. She just seems like a completely delightful person, and she's been making such great videos so far. So really loving her stuff also. So those are my forgotten peeps. Sorry, guys. Probably most of the people watching this are well aware of all of these people, but they're channels that I really have enjoyed a lot, and wanted to make sure that that I gave them some props and let them know how much I enjoyed their stuff. So one more YouTube favorite that I experienced in the month of May, not tarot related actually, this is totally unrelated, and a lot of you might be aware of this already because I think it went kind of viral, and there was a really wonderful New Yorker article about it. But there is a video on YouTube called Do It Debbie's Way, which is a workout video that Debbie Reynolds made, the late Debbie Reynolds, made back in the 80s. And it's the most outrageously delightful thing. So basically, it's Debbie Reynolds being her cutest, perkiest self, doing this workout routine, right? She's got a bunch of people from Hollywood as the other participants in the workout who are in the video with her, and they're in this sort of like pink draped Grecian column sort of sparkly set, and there's big band music playing that they're working out to for some reason. And then in the very back row is Shelley Winters. And Shelley Winters is, unlike all of the other women who are all in their like little cute leotards and everything, Shelley Winters is wearing a black sweatsuit black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and the sweatshirt says, "I'm only doing this for Debbie." And she basically refuses to participate in the entire workout video. Like, she's just in the back row, just sort of like messing around, or like for part of it she's just like laying on the ground, and she and Debbie are sort, you know, they're good friends, so they're just sort of heckling each other the whole time, and it's really, really funny. It's about the most relatable thing I've ever seen, because if I had a friend who did a workout video, that is exactly what I would do. And it's just really funny. And there's this really, again, wonderful New Yorker article about it, just reflecting on women and different women's approach to aging. And I don't know, it's really, really worth checking out. It's not the kind of thing where you need to sit down and like watch the whole thing, because it's a workout video and nobody needs to watch an hour-long workout video just sitting at their desk. But you know, go and at least check out a few minutes of it, because I personally find it hysterical. And yeah, it's just one of those delightful rediscovered things that just sort of brings joy into your life. I'm gonna link it down below. I highly recommend that you don't try Googling it if you don't remember the exact name of it, because I made this mistake and discovered that Googling any combination of the words Debbie and do or does will get you what you are not looking for. So to be safe, use the link. But anyway, it's quite delightful. So that's another one of my YouTube favorites from the month of May. So anyway, that's everything for me. I hope everybody's having a great beginning to their June. I love June. June is my sister's birthday month. She and my niece and nephew are coming into town, and they always come to Minnesota and spend a solid month here over the summer, and I just love this time of year. It's my favorite, and I'm just so excited for good weather and, you know, beautiful warmth outside, and it's just, I don't know, it's gonna be a great month, I think. So anyway, I hope everyone else is having a great beginning to their June as well. If you have favorites that you want to share from the month of May, please share them with me, or if you want to make a video, please do. I love favorites videos. They are just great to watch. It's wonderful to watch people enjoy things. And I love watching people enjoy things. So if you want to get on YouTube and talk about something you really love and enjoy, please do. I will totally watch it. So anyway, thanks again, everybody, for stopping by today, and have a great one. Bye-bye.